Some people go their entire lives without facing the kind of heartbreak that John Travolta has endured.
I don't need to agree with it, or I don't even need to be comfortable in it. I think quite the contrary.
Who we will always remain hopelessly devoted to. But for this Hollywood icon, tragedy hasn't just knocked once.
Who we will always remain hopelessly devoted to.
It's returned again and again, each time wearing the same devastating mask: cancer. That word alone sends chills down anyone's spine. But for John Travolta, it's a nightmare that's played out not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. 3 women, 3 battles, 3 losses that would break most people. The man who made us fall in love with dancing and Saturday Night Fever and Grease has spent decades dancing with grief behind closed doors. Imagine you're 23 years old, on the verge of superstar status, and you watch the woman you love take her last breath in your arms. It's been this way for about 6 years now, so it all seems part of it. I don't really mind it anymore. Then, just as you're learning to breathe again, your own mother succumbs to the same disease. Fast forward decades later, you've rebuilt your life, found love again, started a family, only to have cancer return once more to steal your wife. And that's not even counting the sudden, shocking loss of your teenage son. It sounds like a tragedy written for the screen, but this is real life. This is John Travolta's story. Most of us know John as Danny Zuko, the leather jacket-wearing heartthrob, or Vincent Vega, the smooth-talking hitman. We see the charisma, the million-dollar smile, the dance moves that define generations. But behind those iconic performances lies a man who's faced more pain than anyone should ever have to
endure. The kind of pain that changes you, shapes you, forces you to choose between giving up or finding a way to keep going. What makes John's journey even more remarkable is how he's handled it all. No public meltdowns, no bitter interviews, just quiet dignity and an openness about grief that's helping others navigate their own losses. He's become an unexpected voice for anyone who's ever wondered how to survive when life keeps taking the people you love most. But here's the thing that'll surprise you. After all these years, after all this heartbreak, John Travolta is finally learning to live again. At 70 years old, he's rediscovering joy, making new memories with his children, and showing the world what resilience really looks like. But the question everyone's asking now is, after everything cancer has taken from him, after surviving loss that would destroy most people, what does the future actually hold for John Travolta? When he was just a kid from New Jersey making waves in Hollywood, he had landed a role in a TV movie called The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, playing a teenager with a compromised immune system. It was the kind of tearjerker that networks loved, and John was perfect for the part, but nobody expected what would happen behind the scenes. I understand. Enter Diana Hyland, an established actress cast to play his mother in the film. She was 41, he was 23, and despite the age gap, despite her playing his mom on screen, something sparked between them that neither could ignore. John was completely smitten from day one. "Gina, you move so fast. What does it feel like to move that fast?" "Feels like flying." Years later, he'd tell reporters that he thought he'd been in love before, but he hadn't, not really. From the moment he met Diana, he was attracted to her in a way he'd never experienced. They were like 2 maniacs, he said, talking constantly on
set. Within a month, their friendship had blossomed into romance. It was intense, passionate, and for young John, it felt like destiny. He'd found someone who understood him, who matched his energy, who made him feel alive. Diana brought sophistication and wisdom to his youthful enthusiasm, and together they were planning a future. But there was something Diana hadn't told John at first, something that would change everything. She'd been diagnosed with breast cancer back in 1975 and had undergone a mastectomy. When they started dating, she believed the worst was behind her. She had every reason to hope that she'd beaten it, that they'd have time to build the life they were dreaming about. John was busy filming Saturday Night Fever, the movie that would make him a global superstar, and he and Diana were picking out houses, making plans to move in together. Marriage was on the table. Their future seemed bright. Then Diana's health started to decline, rapidly and terrifyingly. The cancer had spread, and the prognosis went from hopeful to devastating in what felt like moments. Diana didn't know she was dying for sure until about 2 weeks before the end. 2 weeks to process that everything you'd planned, everything you'd hoped for, was about to be ripped away. John flew back to Los Angeles to be with her, leaving behind the movie that would define his career. Nothing mattered except being by her side. On March 27, 1977, Diana Hewlin died in John's arms. He was holding her, feeling her life slip away, and later he described feeling the breath go out of her. At 23 years old, John Travolta experienced a loss that most people don't face until much later in life. He'd found real, deep love, and cancer had stolen it from him. The next 10 weeks were the hardest of his life up to that point. He was grieving, processing, trying to understand how life could be so cruel.
But what John didn't know, what he couldn't possibly have imagined, was that this was just the beginning of cancer's presence in his life. If losing Diana wasn't devastating enough, fate had another punch ready to throw. Just 18 months after Diana's passing, as John was still finding his footing in grief, cancer came back into his life through the one person who'd always been his foundation, his mother, Helen Travolta. Helen wasn't just any mom. She was the reason John had a career in entertainment at all. Born Helen Cecilia Burke, she'd been an actress and singer herself, performing with a radio vocal group called the Sunshine Sisters. She'd even appeared in small roles, including playing a lady in the paint store in Saturday Night Fever, her son's breakthrough film. Helen was the spark that ignited the fire in all 6 of her children. She'd instilled in them a love for theater, for performance, for the arts. The Travolta household was filled with music, drama, creativity. Helen later became a high school drama and English teacher, passing on that passion to countless students. But more than her professional influence, Helen was John's protector. He was the youngest of 6, sensitive and gentle, the kind of kid who needed extra care. Friends from his childhood remember that John had a vulnerability about him, something that made people want to take care of him, and Helen understood that better than anyone. When Helen was diagnosed with breast cancer, she made a deliberate choice that would break your heart. She didn't tell John right away. She knew what her son had been through with Diana just 18 months earlier. She'd watched him grieve, seen him struggle to put the pieces back together, and she couldn't bear to add to his pain any sooner than necessary. Helen wanted to protect him, even from her own illness. That's the kind of mother she was. But eventually, she had to tell him. And when she did, John's world shattered all over again. This time, John became a caregiver. He visited his mother almost every day,
Sitting by her bedside, trying to keep her spirits up in any way he could. And here's something beautiful and tragic at the same time. John would perform for his mother. He'd sing, do little musical numbers, anything to bring light to her darkest days. It's a testament to their relationship, to the bond they shared through performance and art. But all the songs in the world couldn't stop what was coming. Helen Travolta died on December 3rd, 1978, at the age of 66. Cancer had won again. For John, it left what he described as a huge void in his life. He'd now lost 2 of the most important women in his life to the exact same disease, breast cancer, in less than 2 years. And if that wasn't enough to deal with, his career was hitting turbulence too. The disco era that had made him a star was dying. His follow-up films were flopping, and critics were starting to question whether John Travolta was just a flash in the pan, one-hit wonder. Personal tragedy and professional crisis collided, and John, still in his mid-20s, was drowning in loss and uncertainty. But somehow, he kept going. The 1980s weren't kind to John Travolta, professionally, but personally, he was slowly healing. By 1988, he was ready to take another chance on love. While filming a movie called The Experts, he met an actress named Kelly Preston. Kelly was beautiful, talented, warm, everything John needed after years of heartache. They clicked immediately, and by 1991, they'd gotten married in a midnight ceremony in Paris. It was romantic, hopeful, a fresh start for a man who'd seen so much darkness.
Performance in Pulp Fiction. But life had more challenges in store, and they came in a form John never expected. Jett Travolta was born with autism and suffered from seizure disorders. The family kept this mostly private, dealing with Jett's special needs away from the spotlight. John and Kelly became devoted parents, especially to Jett, who needed extra care and supervision. John rarely went anywhere without his son, always bringing him along, always keeping him close. Friends and neighbors in the Bahamas, where the family often vacationed, remember seeing John and Jett together constantly. The love and affection between them obvious to everyone. John was the kind of father who'd do anything for his kids, and Jett was his world. On January 2nd, 2009, the Travolta family was on vacation in the Bahamas, celebrating the new year at their home in the West End resort. Jett, now 16 years old, had a history of seizures, typically experiencing one every 5 to 10 days. The family had taken precautions, employing 2 nannies, installing alarms on bathroom doors, doing everything possible to keep Jett safe. But around 10:05 in the morning, one of the nannies woke John and Kelly with news that would destroy them. Jett was unresponsive on the bathroom floor. John ran downstairs and immediately started performing CPR on his son. He fought to save him, doing everything he could, but it was too late. Jett had suffered a seizure, hit his head on the bathtub, and the injury was fatal. At just 16 years old, Jett Travolta was gone. The family attorney later said that John never dreamed this could happen, that their relationship was so close, so special. To bury your son is the worst thing you can ever do, he said. And John was heartbroken in a way that words couldn't capture. But the nightmare didn't end there.
In the aftermath of Jett's passing, an ambulance driver and a former Bahamian senator attempted to extort $25 million from John and Kelly. They threatened to release private information about Jett's death, trying to profit from the family's tragedy. John testified at a high-profile trial, but eventually the stress became too much for the family to bear, and he dropped the case. The whole ordeal added layers of trauma to an already unbearable situation. In 2010, Kelly gave birth to Benjamin, and John told reporters that the baby had given their house a renewed spirit. They were healing slowly, finding ways to honor Jett's memory while moving forward. John created the Jett Travolta Foundation to help children with special needs. But even as they rebuilt their lives, even as joy returned in small moments, cancer was waiting in the shadows, ready to strike one more time. In 2018, Kelly Preston received news that must have felt like a curse coming full circle. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, the same disease that had taken Diana Hyland and Helen Travolta decades earlier. For John, it had to be a waking nightmare, a cruel repetition of history. But Kelly made a choice that speaks volumes about her character and her desire to protect her family. She kept her diagnosis almost completely private. She didn't make public statements, didn't share her battle on social media, didn't seek sympathy or attention. Instead, she fought quietly, receiving treatment at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, one of the best cancer facilities in the world. For 2 years, Kelly underwent chemotherapy, radiation, whatever treatments her doctors recommended. She kept working when she could, appearing alongside John in the 2018 film Gotti, where she played Victoria Gotti to his John Gotti. It would be her last film role, though nobody knew it at the time. After the Gotti premiere, Kelly essentially disappeared from the public eye. No more red carpets, no more interviews, no more Instagram posts showing the picture-perfect family life.
Those close to the family knew something was wrong, but Kelly's privacy was respected. John watched his wife battle the same enemy that had taken his first love and his mother. He'd been through this twice before, knew how it ended, but still hoped that maybe this time would be different. Maybe modern medicine had advanced enough. Maybe Kelly would be the one to beat it. He supported her through treatments, cared for their children, tried to keep life as normal as possible. But cancer doesn't care about hope or fairness or how much you've already suffered. On July 12, 2020, Kelly Preston lost her battle with breast cancer. She was 57 years old, gone too soon, leaving behind John and their 2 children, Ella and Benjamin. John announced her passing on Instagram with a message that was both heartbreaking and dignified. He thanked the doctors and nurses at MD Anderson, thanked their friends and loved ones who'd been there. He promised to take time away to be there for his children, who'd now lost their mother. The post was simple, raw, honest. Everything you'd expect from a man who'd become an expert in grief. For John Travolta, this marked the 3rd time breast cancer had stolen someone he loved. Diana at 41, his mother at 66, and now Kelly at 57. 3 women, 3 separate decades, the same devastating disease. Add Jett's tragic passing, and you have a level of loss that most people can't even imagine. How does someone survive that? How do you wake up every morning knowing that cancer has haunted your life for over 40 years? How do you trust in love, in life, in the future, when so much has been taken? In the months following Kelly's passing, John Travolta did something unexpected. He opened up about grief in a way that most celebrities never do. In a series of interviews, he shared what he'd learned through decades of loss. And his words resonated with millions of people dealing with their own heartbreak.
John explained that mourning is deeply personal, that everyone's journey through grief is different. He learned that you can't rush it, can't force it, can't let other people's sadness overwhelm your own process. John admitted that after Kelly died, he felt saturated with everyone else's grief. People reached out with love and support, which he appreciated, but their sadness sometimes felt bigger than his own, leaving no space for him to actually mourn. He realized that the first thing you should do when experiencing grief is go to a place where you can process it without interference. Otherwise, it becomes like 2 boats sinking together, he said, and that doesn't help anyone. His advice was simple but profound. Allow people to live through their grief. Don't complicate it with yours. For several years after Kelly's passing, friends said John was just existing. He was going through the motions, caring for Ella and Benjamin, but not really living. The spark that had defined him, that charisma and joy, seemed dimmed by endless loss. He focused on his children, helping Ella pursue her acting career, raising Benjamin, making sure they were okay. But somewhere in that process of caring for them, John forgot to care for himself. And then something shifted. By 2024, 4 years after Kelly's death, John started showing signs of genuine healing. He took Ella to the Paris Olympics, a spontaneous trip filled with 5-star hotels, Michelin-starred restaurants, museum tours, and sporting events. Friends noticed a change in him, a lightness they hadn't seen in years. He started traveling more, enjoying life's luxuries, making up for lost time. People who knew him well said the old John was back, that he was finally ready to embrace living again. John hasn't stopped honoring Kelly's memory. He posts tributes on her birthday, on Mother's Day, keeping her present in their lives while also moving forward.
He's learned to talk about death openly with Benjamin, helping his youngest son understand that grief is natural but doesn't have to define you. When Benjamin expressed fear that John might die too, John gently explained the differences, offering comfort while being honest. It's the kind of parenting that comes from experience, from having navigated loss multiple times and learning how to survive it. At 70 years old, John Travolta is in what he calls a good emotional and physical place. He's traveling the world, checking items off his bucket list, being extraordinarily generous with his time and resources. He pilots his own planes, takes his kids on adventures, surrounds himself with friends who make him laugh. He's not running from grief. He's choosing to celebrate life while keeping the memories of those he's lost close to his heart. Kelly will always be part of my life, he said, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy living. And that's the lesson John's teaching all of us, that there is life after devastating loss, that you can honor the dead while still choosing joy.
John Travolta's story isn't just about tragedy, though there's certainly been plenty of that. It's about something deeper, something that speaks to the core of human resilience. This is a man who's lost 3 women he loved deeply to the same disease, breast cancer, watched his teenage son die suddenly, faced attempted extortion during his darkest moment, and still found the strength to keep going. Most people would crumble under a fraction of that weight, but John didn't. He bent, he broke. He spent years learning how to breathe again, but he survived. What makes John's journey so powerful is his willingness to be vulnerable about it. In an industry that often demands perfection and strength, John has been refreshingly honest about grief, about struggle, about the messy reality of loss. He's shown that it's okay to not be okay, that healing isn't linear, that everyone's path through darkness looks different. His openness has helped countless people dealing with their own losses feel less alone, less broken, more understood.
There's something profoundly moving about watching John Travolta rediscover joy at 70 years old. After everything cancer has taken from him, after burying his son, after decades of heartbreak, he's choosing to live fully. He's traveling with his children, creating new memories, allowing himself to smile and laugh and experience the world's beauty again. It doesn't mean he's forgotten Diana or his mother or Kelly or Jett. It means he's honoring them by not giving up, by showing that love is stronger than loss, that life continues even when you think it can't. John once said that if he dies tomorrow, the last thing he wants to see is everyone around him sunk in sadness. That perspective, earned through unimaginable pain, is a gift to all of us. It's permission to grieve fully, but not forever, to remember lovingly, but not obsessively, to move forward without guilt. There is life after cancer, not just for those who survive the disease, but for those of us left behind when it takes someone we love. John Travolta's story proves that the human spirit is more resilient than we often give it credit for. Even when cancer returns again and again, even when loss seems endless, there's still hope. There's still possibility. There's still joy waiting on the other side if we're brave enough to reach for it. And if John Travolta, who's endured more than most of us can imagine, can find his way back to living fully, maybe we all can. So here's the real question. What can we learn from John's journey? How does his story change the way we think about grief, about loss, about survival? Do you agree with his approach to mourning, that it's deeply personal and everyone needs their own path? Have you or someone you love faced similar battles with cancer? How did you find the strength to keep going when it felt impossible? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can support each other through life's hardest moments.
And if John Travolta's story moved you, if his resilience inspired you, if you believe in the power of sharing these important conversations, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're building a community here, one that doesn't shy away from difficult topics, that honors real struggles and real survival. Because stories like John's, they matter. They remind us that we're not alone, that grief is universal, and that hope is always possible even after unimaginable loss. John Travolta is still dancing, still flying, still living. And that's the most beautiful ending we could ask for.